All right, welcome to another episode of the Freezin NFC North Podcast, episode number 22, Week 4 review and Week 5 preview. Vikings kick it, Packers survive, Bears fumble, and Lions gashed again. Plus, Bears-Vikings preview. I'm not too excited about, but hey, it's football. I'm excited about football. And welcoming again with the Vikings is Viking Dave. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's always nice to squeak out a win, even if it's overseas. So we'll take it and we'll move on to week 5.
Well, absolutely. And moving on to week 5 as well, we are joined again by another Vikings supporter here. How are you doing, Shelby?
I'm doing amazing. 3-1. Can you really complain?
Well, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Vikings fans cannot. Although Vikings Twitter is always finding things to complain about, and we'll definitely get into that later. And we always have to welcome the reigning Kings of the North, and they are repped tonight by Rev Trev. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me back, and I'm stoked to be with all of you today.
Well, we won't talk about the Packers secondary quite yet. I want to say JJ Stokes. I almost did. I guess I did. But when you look at week 4, there's a lot to kind of talk about. I mean, lots that happened. And it started off with that game in London early on Sunday morning. So go ahead, Shelby. We've been missing you. Glad you're back. And why don't you start us off? What were your thoughts on that Viking win in London?
Obviously, it was a very messy game. And I think that my issue with the Vikings right now is I feel like there's no consistency. I think that we have all the key components to earn that 3-1 record, but I think anybody that looks at the team right now is like, oh, you can't say we don't deserve to be 3-1, but our wins, other than the win against the Packers, have definitely been just a little tough to watch, because when we're cooking, and then some things happen and I'm just like, how did that even happen? Like, are you losing focus for a second? Why are you getting sloppy? Why are certain things not connecting? And that was definitely a game that I was very tired, but that last, that fourth quarter, I was awake just from anxiety alone. So,
what about you, Dave? Did you have the same anxiety about the game?
Oh, well, I remember watching the Greg Joseph kick with my hands on my knees. I'm standing up because I'm so nervous, because we've been here so many times. Like, as a Vikings fan, you're just waiting for him to miss it. Like, he missed the extra point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, to me, the game was typical Vikings. They got it pretty decently. You're up 9. They keep getting turnovers, but they can't score to kind of put the game away. You let a team hang around with a backup quarterback. We've been there a million times. We miss an extra point to keep them in the game. The other team nails a freaking 60-yard field goal. Like, I'm like, we can't make an extra point. These guys are nailing 60-yarders. This is Vikings football. Every week, I'm gonna die one week from it. We get the bounce. We'll take it. I will say, it's better to be on this end than last year. We were losing those games. So last year we'd be 1-3 after we would have not made the Detroit touchdown, or we would have, and then we would have gave up something coming back. Same thing with this game. Last year it feels like they would have made the field goal. We would have lost in overtime or something like that. So there's room to grow. Like Shelby said, like, sometimes we played really well. And there's other times we played sloppy, but being 3-1 with a lot of room to grow is somewhere you'd rather be, than the other end of it.
What about that double doink, Shelby? I mean, what was your reaction to that?
Well, in my time, the game started at 6:30. So I was watching it on my phone, and my mom was sleeping. I had my headphones in. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And she woke up. She's like, oh, all right. You will never believe what just happened. And I think, like Dave was saying, for me, it was like and I tweeted this too, it's just never would you guess a Vikings game would be won that way. You know, like you don't see luck, especially with kicking situations in the Vikings. So it was just, you know, and there's so many memes that were posted about like how everyone thought it went in and then it didn't. And it was just, yeah, I think I was kind of numb to it. Like I blacked out for a good 5 minutes. I was like, oh, we won. Crazy.
Well, and crazy, the Vikings are atop the NFC North, right? And also, you know, up there close is the Packers, and they held on for 27-24 overtime win versus the Patriots and third-string quarterback Bailey Zappi. What were your thoughts on that, Rev Trev?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of flack right now because people are upset at Packers fans because we're not impressed with the win.
You shouldn't be,
and I don't think we should be, but they're all like, oh, the Packers are complaining. And it's like, yes, because we want to know if we're contenders. We want to win the division. And when you're playing, well, first of all, we were playing a backup quarterback first. And then he goes down, and I was like, okay, we're going to smoke this team. And next thing you know, it's close, and Rodgers looks terrible in the first half, and he admits that they actually had to play better. So, I like you guys were talking about being stressed out. I've been stressed out for 4 games. Like
try being stressed out for your entire life. So I don't want to hear it.
You know what? I'm not trying to compare. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it.
I am saying like it's been a different team. It's a different way that we're okay. Dave, let's dive into that just for a second. You guys have found ways to win, and so have we, which I think is really good for both of our teams.
Right.
But what I'm nervous about is what we look like. But when you look at the stats and different things, it looks like we're better than when you watch us. Like we look, I'm like, wow, like we made that so hard. Now, I get that every team's trying to be competitive and every team's got like drafting to win and the whole thing. And like everyone's pumping iron. Like, I get it.
That makes me think of like the memes online where it says, you know, whatever it is, it says what I think I look like and what I actually look like.
Yeah.
You know, and that, I mean, that's
Totally.
the Packers. You know, it kind of is the Vikings as well, right? You know, I mean, Vikings, in my opinion, it's so interesting. Like nationally, I've heard, you know, people assuming the Packers are going to win the division, but really, when I look at offenses, the Vikings still have all of the keys there, and they're winning. The Saints were expected to be a great defense. Obviously, they're not who we thought they were, but you did get that win. That's a tough win. So it'll be interesting to see kind of, you know, how the Packers, how they respond, how Aaron Rodgers responds. Cause he's just, I don't know what it is. I mean, just starting slow, or maybe it's the ayahuasca or what?
It's the new players. It's the receiving core. We didn't have our O linemen in, and that matters. Like everyone's like next man up. It doesn't work like that. You know, sometimes you can, right? So I'm nervous. Don't get me wrong. Like I still predicted that we win the division, but it's stinking close. And obviously the Vikings kicked our butts in week 1, but we had a new receiving core, young guys with us, and we were missing our O linemen. You guys destroyed us defensively. And then offensively, we didn't put Jair on Jefferson, which I'm not even an NFL quarterback, and I know that, right? And now he's hurt. But anyways, I can just get into it. So my point is that I think it's because of the past that people have seen the Vikings struggle when it comes to the important games, and the Packers have risen to the occasion. But maybe this year's different. Maybe it's the Vikings' time. I'm still predicting the Packers to win, but I could be wrong, but I highly doubt it.
Well, I think everyone's kind of been talking about the new era of the Packers, right? Like you guys went from Brett Favre immediately transitioning into Aaron Rodgers and getting another
Jesus.
Super Bowl.
That's all I'm going to say.
It's like you've never really had, like you said, the Vikings were used to like that struggle bus, right? We've been sitting front row. And you guys have been very lucky, and I think that it is very interesting seeing you guys transition into kind of that struggle thing too. And Aaron Rodgers is really the only key player you have left, and he's definitely getting up there in age, so it's probably going to be like that for a while unless you're lucky again.
I need to amend something you said, Shelby, though. The Vikings were never in the front row on the quarterback front. The Bears have always been the front row. Actually, it's 1A and 1B, the Bears and the Lions. And, talking about the Bears, I don't even want to really talk about this, but, I got my hopes up in the middle of the game thinking, okay, maybe they could win versus the Giants. But then that Velus Jones Jr. fumble, and it was just they couldn't even stop when they knew that there was no quarterback in there. Tyrod Taylor was out. Daniel Jones was a shell injured. They couldn't even stop it. And so it was hard as a fan to kind of just, sit back and watch that. But then taking a further look at it, it is better. I think that the Bears did lose that game because, for some fans to have hopes that we're going to make the playoffs, it's just not going to happen. That offensive line is just it's horrible. And yes, I mean, I know Dave, you're not a Fields fan, right? But I Fields did some good things and still has some good things, but you have to have an offensive line. And we talked about that with the Packers and the Vikings. You have to have that offensive line, and the Bears, it's been a mess. And so I'm not excited, for the rest of the season. And then we'll talk about the Vikings game. I'm not excited about this week either, but I guess that's all I wanted to say. If anybody else had any thoughts on the Bears,
so I didn't get to watch much of the game. I was after the Vikings game, I kind of took a little bit of a nap. That was nap time because we were up so early. But I saw Fields. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his. As a Bears fan, when we've had seasons like this in the past where I know we're probably not going to be good. I just want to see growth. I want to see them compete. Even if they don't win, don't get blown out. And hopefully have some pieces to build on. And that's really, I think, probably what you're looking for. I'm sure, you want to see Fields develop some and, maybe Mooney and the O-line. I don't know, some guys on defense. I don't know what you're looking for, but that's what like I said, when I know the Vikings, they're not going to be it, you want to see them be competitive. Don't get blown out. You don't want to be asleep by halftime. You know what I mean? So that's probably, I'm assuming what you're kind of, looking for as well.
Yeah, I mean, Fields had a couple really good throws, but one to Mooney and but Komet is just I don't know where he's at. He's kind of been a ghost. I think he's getting ready for Halloween early. But when you look at the Bears, there's not a lot of positives other than maybe this gets us closer to top of the draft and. As a Bears fan, we have to be okay with that because there's so many pieces missing. And so, I mean, that's really all I had to say about that. But
yeah, but I have a question for you because I feel like all of our defense are the bend, don't break. And so when you guys were playing the Giants and they're such a great rushing team, like we're not a good rushing defense either. And that's who we're playing this week. So I'm wondering, what did you feel like when you watched it and saying, like, were you frustrated? Like, how come, like, Barkley's going to get his yards, right? But Daniel Jones, we all know he runs the ball. So that's what I'm wondering is, like, I think Barkley's going to get his yards, but I don't want Daniel Jones running on us. He can't throw the ball as good, right? We need to, like, contain him so that he has to throw. So I'm wondering what your thoughts were about the rushing game of the Giants and against the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, he is, he's one of the best in the game, right? And the big thing is, the front, the Bears, they couldn't even get any type of, they haven't been able to get any pass rush, and so they just interior, they weren't getting any push either. So, you got some younger players. You don't have the pieces there. The biggest thing too, I think, when you look at like the secondary, I think that hurts as well. Kyler Gordon's been having just a, a tough year, and that's that's going to happen. So that was the brutal thing, just kind of sitting back and watching it. When Saquon Barkley is, taking, the hike, and you can't stop them. They're going to run, and they couldn't stop it. That was just, that was kind of like, I'm going to sit back. Okay, change the channel time, right? We know what's going to happen. This is not going to be, I don't know. It's not going to be good. And so that's
not pleasant.
not pleasant. And so a lot of that's on the offensive line, and they've got a lot of work to kind of, try to find some pieces, this year on the offensive line. Cause that's huge. And when you look at it, and so I think that the Packers are going to be able to, they've got Rashawn Gary, they've got we
got Kenny Clark right in the middle. So I'm wondering if he's going to help us there. I don't know. Like, I'm worried.
I think so.
Like, I don't think we're going to lose, but I'm worried. Like, I don't know. As a Viking fans, do you guys play the Giants this year?
Later in the season, I think so. Yeah. Right. We play the whole division because I believe so.
We all play we play the Eagles.
Giants?
We play the whole division.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know we play the Jets and the Buffalo. Yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure you do.
On. Yep.
So we all kind of there, right?
Yep.
So interesting.
I wouldn't be worried at all. When I look at the Packers, I would not be worried because they've got balance on offense. And that's the biggest thing with the Bears. They don't have balance on offense and the offensive line. And those things, if you don't have that, of course, Justin Fields is going to be, running for his life. Of course, he's, they need to give him time. So there's a lot there. Well, speaking of the other team that is just, it's so it's been the same story with the Lions. And obviously we don't have Grubb here tonight. But the defense just continues to be gashed by Seahawks legendary quarterback Geno Smith. And they're giving up an average of 35.25 points per game. It's just, but offensively, Jared Goff is, I think I looked at fantasy. He's right up the top of the quarterbacks. I think
they're playing great.
He's right up the top of as many touchdown passes. I think he had like 11 or 12 touchdown passes.
Yeah, they're moving the ball and they're scoring points. They just can't stop anybody right now. And that's, it was the same thing week one. They was it 38-35 lost to Philly, 28-24 to us. I forget who they played week 3. And, and then week 4, same thing. Like 48-45. Like, if you're giving up 48 points to Geno Smith and Rashad Penny and those guys, like, and I know DK is a beast, but Geno Smith should not be throwing for what he did against you. They got problems on defense, clearly. That's going to be an issue for them all season.
Well, I think we can relate because, we've always been like, well, not always, but the last couple of years especially, it's like, okay, offense isn't the problem. Like, they have a very solid offense, but at the end of the day, that we've been trying to say with Kirk Cousins, the offense can't win the team, the game completely. Like, their defense is, granted, Geno Smith, I think he just hasn't really had a time to shine. Like, I don't
know. He's had some time to shine in the past, and he's failed a little bit, but he's playing well this year. He's playing pretty decent.
Can we give the Lions a little bit of credit, though? Because honestly, like, I was in a survivor pool, and I had the Lions to beat the Seahawks, which made sense. And then all of a sudden you're hearing the injury reports. And I literally messaged my brother. I'm like, I'm flipping my pick. I'm going Seahawks. And I'm like, I'm still a little nervous, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna win. Like, they didn't have St. Brown. They didn't have Swift. They had Williams.
And they still scored 45 points.
45. So I'm like they must be legit here offensively.
Right.
Like Jared Goff. And now I get it. Seattle, you can't say they have a good defense either. So I'm actually interested to see how the Lions do against a good defense. I'm really looking forward to that. But you guys right. Having the best offense in the league and the worst defense in the league, bad combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll get into the other games first. But since we're right here with the Lions, let's go ahead and get into that. Obviously we have to have a little bit of Lions content here. So
Do we have to though?
we have to, yeah. When you look at the Lions week 5, I mean, versus the Patriots, some things that I saw here. The quarterback or cornerback Amani, I can't even say his name.
Warrior. The only reason I know that is because he had like 5 penalties against Thielen in our game 2 weeks ago. He was getting called for holding every other play.
I looked. He is dead last among cornerbacks in the National Football League. Just all metrics, and so that's him versus Jacoby Myers. Like I'm looking at my fantasy league, and anytime I have never done this before. And I don't know about you guys. I have always tried to stay away from Patriots running backs and wide receivers. Yeah. I am scouring my waiver wire to look for any like Jacoby Myers or any Patriots wide receivers. I don't know about you.
I'm starting Stevenson. I'm starting Stevenson in my flex because I'm like, he's going to get a whole bunch of points.
So. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think I'd feel good about the Myers pick unless it was a deeper
Isn't he hurt?
league.
He may play. They're obviously not sure, but if he plays, yeah.
I mean, if he's probably a good matchup, so it's not terrible.
Well, here's some other things. Yeah, and we talked about the Lions defense. Aleem McNeil versus offensive guard Strange. There's basically no Lions interior pressure. That's been one of their issues. And then the other one, linebacker Anzalone versus any of the Patriots running backs. So yeah, Ramondre Stevenson would be a good one to start, I believe, as well. So
I think so too.
All right, here we go. Here's some thoughts here. That defense will improve after bye week. Let's see if D Price, maybe he's talking about the Lions. Pressure coming back off. There are some players coming back IR. Yes, I believe so.
Are we talking defensive players coming off IR? Because I think like, and who? Because I can't.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody.
We'll let D Price. Hopefully, he can weigh in here and let us know. But when you look at obviously, do we think the Lions are going to win this game?
I can see them winning this game. I mean, the Patriots are playing well. The Patriots, I mean, they're good. They're good coached. Like I thought they had no chance against the Packers, and they played really well. Especially when you put in the third string QB. I know when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is going to be a blowout. And then I ended up going to the Bucks Chiefs game here in Tampa because it was boring. There's nothing else going on. And I got some cheap tickets, and I'm on my way there, and I'm listening to it on the radio. I'm like, come on, New England, like, can we pull it out? And so I mean, but they play well because they're just when you got good coaching and good structure, you could sometimes you play over your head. So I think New England's good, but I don't think New England's great. So Detroit can score 40 points on them, like that could happen. I think it should be a good game. I don't really know who I want to pick, but I don't think it's an automatic loss at all.
What about you, Shelby?
I think it's going to be a good game, and like you were saying, at the end of the day, the Patriots, what they have is Belichick. Like, if they're going to win, it's because coaching-wise, he can think of ways to get around anything to get that win. Offensively, I think it is going to be a high-scoring game because that just seems to be their go-ahead. But if anything, they're just going to need to step up a little bit with defense. But my biggest fear is always Belichick.
That's true. So D Price does say the Lions have Pascal, Jared Jacobs, Romeo Okwara, and Komeski coming back. So
can I just say that I don't know who any of those players are?
Yeah, me.
I don't
haven't
either,
heard one of them. So okay.
Well, we got to learn about the Lions.
I guess we should.
Because when you think about it, like, I mean, offensively, if they had any sort of defense, and tell you what, with that offense, I mean, that's scary. As a Bears fan, I look at the Lions games, and I would not be surprised at all if the Bears, lost both games to the Lions. I just would not. That would not surprise me. And this is the Matty Patricia revenge game. Oh my gosh, he was just horrible coach. So I'm actually going to pick the Lions on this game, and let's see. Romeo had 10 sacks before he tore his ACL.
I would say Romeo's probably the only one that I think that I had heard of. The others, no idea. But
Well, there we go. We had our Lions content of
There
the
we go.
day.
I just want to be official. I'm picking the Patriots.
Wow.
I don't think you guys I don't think we're understanding how good their system is.
Oh, I
Right.
agree.
We
That's
should
why
have
I think that they're
destroyed them.
good. I
We should
100%
have
agree with
destroyed
you.
them, and we won by 3. So I don't see the Lions winning this game.
I
They're going to
would
scheme it
I'm
well.
gonna pick the Patriots, but I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit pulled it out just because they're playing well,
Right.
So I mean they're not getting blown out by, Philly, Minnesota. I don't even know who their one wins against, but they're playing good, no matter what. So I mean, I picked New England, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit won.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the London game. The Packers versus the Giants at once again Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Evidently, this is the first time in a long time that two teams with a winning record have faced off
Ever.
in London ever. Okay,
I heard, yeah.
So when you look, Trevor, when you look at this game, what are some of your keys that you're looking at for the Packers to win?
Yeah, I think the Giants had 6 sacks against the Bears last week. So I do think that the key is to get the pressure so Rodgers can work his magic. Again, what you have there about the Packers need to start faster. Absolutely. We have to somehow slow down the run. I don't think it's realistic to believe that we're going to stop the run. I think it's slow down. I do think Barkley's going to get his stuff. Again, it's just make Daniel Jones throw the ball. The Giants had 6. Okay, I just tweeted this. Do you know that the Giants played? These are the quarterbacks they've played this season: Tannehill, Mayfield, Cooper Rush, and Fields, and they don't
Wow.
have an interception.
Wow.
Damn.
I didn't know that. So I'm thinking,
wow.
Well, I think they're not gonna get an interception this week because Rodgers rarely does. The one from last week was, I was so angry. But anyways, that's another story.
6, yeah.
But yeah, that never that's 4th time in his career, right? So we're probably not going to turn the ball over in the air. And if we can stop their pass rush, that's why I'm thinking I'm pumped about the game going the way it's going, and maybe Jones doesn't play, so who knows? But anyways, I think these young guys are starting to get the groove. Dobbs looks awesome. I'm loving it. I love Christian Watson. I just feel like we haven't utilized his gifts enough yet. We've got to figure that out. But so yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping. I mean, I'm going to get up early and watch this game. I'm in the same time zone as you, Shelby, so it's not as early for us, but it's early enough that it's like, okay, this is I gotta get.
She's in the West Coast.
No, I'm
so
on
am I.
West.
Yeah.
So am I.
That's 6:30. That's early.
Yeah, I started earlier.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
That's too early for me. Thank God I'm in the East Coast. 9:30 was early enough for me.
Right. So
honest,
you guys would be getting up
home
later, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, I got home from work at 2:30. I woke up at 6:30, but I definitely fell asleep for that first quarter.
Well, get your tea and crumpets and coffee and all of that. But when you look at it, it's the Giants are 7.5 point underdog. I mean, are we expected to be anywhere close to that, or is that even conservative when you think about this game?
Well, I think we just make it harder for ourselves. So I think it's going to be a 3-pointer again, unfortunately, and somehow we find a way to win. But I hope that we win by 14 or 17 or 21. I mean, that'd be awesome. But I just what I've seen, I can't say that. So I don't know. As Vikings Bears fans, what do you think about the score? Is it going to be a blowout? Is it going to be close? Is the Giants going to win it?
No, I don't think the Giants win. I think the Packers aren't playing their best. The Giants are playing good. They can run the ball, which is going to help keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. And I think that they're playing, good enough to keep it relatively close. I don't expect them to win. I could see a 7 to 10 point win for them. I mean, I'm hoping for a miracle, but that's not what I would predict at all.
Right.
What about you, Shelby?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think the biggest thing is going to be putting pressure on Aaron Rodgers and then them using that run game to run down the clock. But obviously we saw in our game against Rodgers, the offensive line is leaving him very vulnerable. And if they can continue to knock him down, once he gets in his head, he's definitely a little whiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're running down that time and he's not getting the time to like sit comfortably, I think that it's going to be close. But I still see the Packers pulling it out. So maybe I would say 3-7.
Like final score?
No.
I'm just trying to be funny. Sorry.
No.
You know, I don't know. I see this being a blowout, and for the Packers, I just, you know, it's really tough to when I'm honest about my Bears, it's really tough to gauge anything, you know, that the Giants did against the Bears. I mean, there's so much that, you know, I feel like even the Giants left on the table that they could have done a lot more. So when you look at it, I just think it's going to be a blowout, and I think the Packers are going to get that win. So
I hope you guys are right. Thanks.
Maybe we're trying to jinx
this
it.
is my favorite part of this show right now.
We're just jinxing it.
My Packers.
Well, so deep prices. Saquon Barkley is going to be a beast to deal with. I've noticed Daniel Jones is questionable. Not sure what he's dealing with. He also thinks Packers win this one. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones, you know, we'll see if he even plays. If he does play, he's still going to be a little bit hobbled, I believe, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the injury is. I didn't even see. I just know he went out and then he came back in as basically a decoy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't. I don't even. Yeah, and then
I just saw
Taylor,
Saquon taking the snaps, and I was like, "Was this real life? Like, what is that?"
Well, yeah, and Tyrod Taylor got in, and he threw a pick, and I was like, "Okay, Bears are gonna do it." And then he got hurt. He just always seems to get hurt, you know, and just the way he runs, and it's too bad, because he had a lot of talent. But you know, speaking of, you know, maybe a game that that's really heavily talented on one side and maybe not on the other. The Vikings and the Bears face off in our divisional matchup. So when you look at this, Dave, I have some mismatches here. What are your thoughts as you kind of look at this game, Dave?
It scares me. Detroit, the Bears always play us good.
It should not.
It should. You're right. It should not. I feel like we should blow these teams out, but I also felt like we should have blown out, you know, the Saints with a backup quarterback, no Kamara, no Michael Thomas. I mean, I can go down the list. You know, Detroit. I know they're playing well, but like it shouldn't come down to these things, and it does every week. Mm-hmm. So I'm not scared of the Bears in general at all, because, like you said, they don't have very weapons, which, to be honest, makes me, you know, a little happy. They don't have, you know, really like the Philly did, or even like, well, I guess kind of comparable to the Packers, which we shut down pretty good. So hopefully, you know, we've made some changes. I don't know who's going to cover Jefferson, and I know they've got some pretty good, you know, defenders, but Jefferson versus anybody, I like that you said that. You know what I mean? Like, he should toast anybody, just like he did Lattimore on that last play, you know, the last drive where he just get thrown the ball. You know what I mean? So I think we should win. I believe we're home, right? Is we the home team?
Yep.
So I mean, I'd be surprised if we lost, but then again, I wouldn't. So it's just it goes with us.
Jalen Johnson is hurt. He most likely won't play, so it would be, you know, we'll see. But Justin Jefferson, I feel like he's just gonna have a big game, and the Bears have some promise in the secondary. I think for the future, just not this year. And when you look at some of these other matchups, Shelby, what do you kind of see going for this game?
Well, for starters, Fields is getting pressured on over 40%. We have Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith, who are arguably one of the best duos in the league. You haven't really seen them much other than the Packers game, and I think that one of the big things that we need is a game like this that's going to build guys' confidence, especially on – no offense that you guys are the ones that are going to do it. But I just think, like, it's going to give them a lot more confidence, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunities for sacks, hopefully some stripped fumbles, pressures, and then Fields
It doesn't scare me at
interceptions.
all.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's just not much to worry about there. And then Jefferson, obviously we were a little worried in week 2 and 3 because people were matching up against him so well, but also those were very good defenses. Where this, again, I think is going to be a situation where he's going to be able to escape Thielen. Like, as long as we utilize the top 3, Osborne, Thielen, and Jefferson, I think that we're going to have a good game. But like Dave was saying, I honestly do always have fear with the Bears because for some reason we always find a way to lose against them.
Always.
So I've said this before about the Vikings. It's like I don't want them to think it's going to be an easy win because I think we play a lot better when we're worried about losing.
It'd be really nice if they could just go out and do what they should do. Because the talent, it shouldn't be close. We should win by 10 plus, like maybe 14 or more, like easily. But I don't know. Like I'm hoping that, like you said, for the defense, this is hopefully a get right game, and the offense hopefully as well. Like Dalvin has not been great. He hasn't been bad, like some people are trying to say, but he hasn't been great. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that we can kind of. Easy games don't happen in the NFL, especially division. So I'm not expecting a blowout, but it'd be nice to get a little bit more comfortable win where we're not sweating it in the last 30 seconds like we had the last 2 weeks.
Well, and I think this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I think that this game is crucial. One of the biggest games we've had in a long time because right now we are 2-0 in the division, and this would have us be 3-0. Like. There's so much talk about the Packers still being on the same level as us, and I agree. We have a very similar win-loss situation right now. They had 2 close wins, win against a third string. We had the win against the Saints. And you can't tell me that we don't have, at that point, no matter what the rankings are, no matter anything, that's automatically putting us in a way better position to win the North. So that alone makes this such a big
game.
Crucial game.
Division games are always huge, and that's why they have to play well.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a game that you need to win. You need to win kind of convincingly. You can't, if you play in the Fields and the Bears to the last minute, it's just not a good look.
Well, speaking of, I was kind of looking at it, and obviously Thielen has, scored touchdowns and everything, but the Bears have really, historically, they've held him in check for the most part. So Thielen may be a key. Obviously, Kyler Gordon for the Bears has had a lot of struggles this year. So fantasy-wise, Justin Jefferson's going to get his yards, but I think Thielen might get his yards and touchdowns as well. This might be kind of, his opportunity to kind of get in there. And if Kyler Gordon wants to get his season back on track, he's got to, do something and show something in this game, I think. I looked at this game for the Bears secondary. This is kind of a measuring stick, as a Bears fan. I want to see the young secondary against these receivers, against this offense. And if they're terrible, I want them to learn for it for next year and for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what I said earlier. Like even if you don't expect to win, you'd like to see them play against 2 great receivers. Play well. Hopefully don't get blown out. And if you don't win, you don't win. But you want to see things to build on. So yeah, I get that.
What about from the Vikings? What about right tackle Brian O'Neill? I mean, Mohammed for the Bears has been a bright spot, late round draft pick and on the D line. How has O'Neill been doing on the Vikings offensive line?
It's been amazing, right?
He's always really solid. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think I rarely see him get beat cleanly. I think he's one of the better right tackles in the league, and he's just solid. I mean, it's hard to say he's an offensive lineman, but he's really, really good. So
yeah, I was going to say, I think that he's one of the. You said he's solid. I think coming back to what I said about consistency, I think he is one of the most consistent players we have. Where, he doesn't really have like crazy bad games. Like he sticks in what he's good at, and he seems to I was like, am I missing something? But yeah, he always seems to be doing his job and getting it done. So
Well, yeah, as an offensive lineman, that's kind of what you want. You don't want to hear your name very much. That
Exactly.
means,
Yeah.
obviously you've done something wrong, holding calls. And I didn't realize this. Trevor, you had a great nugget earlier about the Packers. I didn't realize this, and you guys probably do as well. Have seen this. The Vikings offensive holding, there've been zero.
lowest.
Yeah.
They've had zero so
It's
far.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's rare. It's new. I don't know. The O-line is playing well. Bradbury's playing well, which I know a couple weeks ago we were talking about. I thought
Trying
he's
to get rid of
terrible.
him.
He's playing really good. I saw a stat today that he has the lowest pressure rate among left tackles in the league, among if you take out like RPOs and stuff like that. But he's amazing. It's fun. It's nice to finally have a decent O-line. Like, I'm not gonna say they're good or great, but they're not giving up holding penalties. They're not the reason we're getting ran over. Seems like we have two really, really good tackles at least, and the interior O-line isn't getting pushed around like it has in the past. So it's crazy to think like the O-line is not the reason why we're just getting beat, and it's actually been good.
Well, and Cousins is still getting pressured. I think it's like 31%, which is still not good. But if you think of games last year, there's so many first downs that were given up because of offensive holding calls. Like,
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it was like anytime the flag was thrown, you
just
knew it was going to be an offensive hold. And the fact that has not been a thing, that alone is such a big, positive push in the right direction.
Well, speaking of, push, obviously the Vikings are going to have to establish the run. You talked about, Dalvin Cook. Is he completely healthy?
Probably. Well, I know his shoulder. He had a harness he was playing with, so he's probably not completely healthy. He hasn't been. I've been a Florida State fan, so I've been watching him since he's been in college. And as much as I love him, he's never fully healthy. It seems like, but he's still so good. So no, I would say no. He's probably not completely healthy.
I mean, my fear in the beginning of the season, like before the season started, is Cook going to stay healthy? I think he's one of the most injury-prone players that we have. And part of me also feels like he is getting in his head, because this is again, I don't want to say he's bad, but he doesn't seem to have that oomph, that extra power behind his runs like he normally has. Whereas Madison is again, coming down to that consistency. He gets out there and he gets his job done, where I think that, I don't know, there's just something that's off. So I do really hope that he kind of, or, we have Madison too. Cook is not our only, but I think another big thing is I was talking about this earlier. We went from such a run-heavy offense to now being pass, and I think that's one of the biggest things with our offense right now is that's such a shift. And Cook and Madison were used to having so much pressure being on them, and now they're kind of utilized as just let's do a run play now. And now Kirk has so much more pressure, and there's so much more drops than we've ever had before. God. Yeah, Insane. That's a whole other subject, but I do think that a big part of Cook's confidence has been that he's not a need as much as he is now, utilizing more of a, you're good, so let's run you, instead of we need you to run.
So you got me thinking about, the NFC North running backs, and I want to bring you into this also, Trevor, here. So which NFC North team has the best running back duo? Trevor, what do you think?
Well, I wanna say Cook and Madison, but I think you guys are right. You guys have been running at a pass heavy team. I don't think you guys are going to end up with the best stats. But does that mean you don't have the best talent? Cook is really good.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm a huge Aaron Jones fan, and I love the whole, we got rid of our coach McCaffrey. No, what's not? I'm saying McCaffrey.
McCarthy.
McCarthy. It was free hashtag free Aaron Jones. Like we're watching this guy and we're like, this guy's dynamic. Did you guys see what he did last week? His runs.
I love Aaron Jones.
For carriage.
I think
He's
great.
amazing. And then Dylan is just like, he reminds me of like the old school guys, like the Brandon Jacobs, like even I wouldn't say Derrick Henry because he's not as fast, but like he's running people over, he's pushing the line, he's getting those. So I like the duo, but I still think the Bears duo with Montgomery, he's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And Herbert is talented. So I know, like I like that, but Swift is
Swift
special.
and Jamal Williams. That's great too.
And Jamal Williams used to be a Green Bay Packer, right? And we let him go. So this is the thing. I love the running games of all four teams. I love all the players. I think they're so talented. So I personally think we're splitting hairs. That's my personal opinion. But I'm probably just being biased. I just love Aaron Jones that much. I love AJ Dillon that much that I would hope that they would be the best. So they might not be.
What about you, Shelby? What do you think?
I agree with everything you were saying. I think if you would have asked me last year, I don't think it would even be a comparison. But you're just not going to be seeing them enough, I don't think. And we're already 4 games in, and you haven't seen a big explosive play. Like, he really hasn't broke free much, talking about Cook. And then I think Madison has more touchdowns. I could be wrong by that. Now that they're 2 and 4, I kind of get confused.
I think they both have one
right?
touchdown.
Yeah, the number switch is weird.
You guys, I hate the number switch. That's awful.
I love Cook and 4, but I liked him from Florida State, so that looks good to me. I like it.
Yeah. I think what's weird to me though is like you look at last year and the year before where it was like we were passing, but like we were such a heavy run defense and still Jefferson was beating records. So it's like it shouldn't necessarily stop you because we're still running the ball. They're just not being as explosive. So when we played the Packers and anything I've seen of the Packers, they seem to be just a lot more explosive to me this year.
Well, and we're running the ball more too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We've been passing the ball less.
We basically flipped.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like, I honestly, like, it's been 4 games. Like, it just feels so different. It's so crazy. Do you guys feel like that in the switch? Because the passing game, when it gets going, is exciting, right? And so, like, do you guys feel as fans that you're more excited now that you're passing the ball more? Or is it like you miss Cook running the ball?
Yes, because I grew up watching Randy Moss, and every time you drop back, you hope to see that deep ball. And now it's not the same. Nobody's Randy Moss, but when you drop back and you see Kirk throw that, that deep cross, and you got Jefferson, it's fun to watch. Like, I love watching Cook run. I love it because you can break a play anytime. But passing is just so much more fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to see those big plays and all that. So yeah, I'm an advocate of the passing game. I love to see it.
So
I'm definitely more excited.
Cook and Madison they both each just have 1 touchdown, I believe.
That's what I thought. 1 each.
Okay.
But I mean, when you look at Madison,
so does Jefferson. He's the best running back on the team.
Oh, right.
He walked in.
That was. I love that play. I did, and I hate to admit this. After living 10 years in Minnesota, I this year I am rooting for the Vikings. At least in the division. For me, I like to see different teams win it. It would be nice if the Vikings kind of got to the NFC Championship, maybe the Super Bowl, and then lost, right? As a Bears fan. But I'm not quite there yet.
I really like that. You had them going, bro.
I did. How about that?
Nice. Oh.
He's like, oh yeah, and then but by the way, lose.
Jeez.
Hey. I spent 10 years in Minnesota. I practiced Minnesota nice for a little bit there.
Hey.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I definitely I'm looking forward to, again, week 5 games. where can everyone find you again, Trevor?
Yeah, so I do fantasy football content. If you want to know about flex spots or all that kind of stuff, I just did a video on studs or struggling duds, and I think I'm helping people out, giving strategies. So it's Kempner Sports on YouTube, and as well, I'm on Twitter at RevTrevK. And I also have a Facebook page called Kempner Sports as well. So you can get me there. And I love to interact with people and help them out in their fantasy stuff.
Great stuff. And Shelby, where can everyone find you again?
Shelby tweeting, just my name, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And then have to shout it out again, but our Aries archive, I'm actually wearing one of our shirts right now. Very thankful for everyone being supportive, but Aries Archive, if you could follow that, we're remaking all vintage Vikings clothes and just kind of making them more hip for guys and girls.
Do you think you could maybe make a Bears line?
Yeah, I just did 2 shirts for Chargers fan. So eventually we're trying to break into other sports, but obviously I don't have pull with I don't know enough other sports fans, but yeah.
Great stuff.
Well, if you need a model, I'm
You're the perfect guy.
Yeah, I'm like the plus size, like beastie guy.
I got you.
Well, always a plus, always to have. Dave, where can everyone find you again?
Viking Dave 18 on Twitter. And the fantasy show also, I do one once upon a Sunday fantasy football podcast. Come find us.
Well, and this Sunday you should be pretty relaxed. If you're not, I would
be
surprised.
Never.
We can never get comfortable.
When we come back next week and we're like, well, look, the Vikings won on a last-second field goal, I'll be like, I told you so. I literally told you so. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, when the Bears last week, they had a guy that they signed off the street, Michael Badgley. He scored all their points, all 12 points, and now it will be ironic. Now he's going to be with the Lions, right? It would be ironic now if he beat the Bears. That would just be nuts. So the Lions signed him. It was a great pickup for, the Bears with Cairo Santos out for the week. But I would not be shocked if this was a blowout. But you never know. It's the NFL.
That's right. It's a division game in the NFL. It's never easy usually.
I would have never guessed Seattle would have scored 48 points. Just saying. So
there you go.
Can happen.
Exactly.
True.
I didn't think the Patriots would take the Packers to OT and have the ball at midfield and overtime. And I'm listening to the game and I'm like, come on, baby. And then they end up punting. Like, what is happening?
Okay, but we haven't talked about something. You can't stop this podcast yet.
All right. Well,
were you not traumatized from the double doink?
Oh, I was.
I had to bring it up. Well,
you mean as
I was sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, the word double doink happened again."
That's what I thought of immediately too. I was like, "Wow,
it did.
It actually went our way."
I want to know what the Bears fans were thinking. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, honestly. I'm not trying to do what you just did to the Vikings fans there, but I'm seriously interested. Like, was it not like?
No, I am so far. I'm. What's that? One of the memes that you can't hurt me. I'm just kind of. I'm numb. Numb to. I'm just
indifferent.
Not. And I like to see great football. I mean, that was. Came down to it. A great ending. And hopefully we got Lions Mania saying go Lions here. We did talk about the Lions earlier. Hopefully eventually they have some, good endings and they may, eventually if they can put something on defense, but no, it didn't really, trigger anything. I didn't wake up in a, sweat or anything like that. I'm so far removed from that team that, Trubisky and all that. And, not expecting, I'm kind of like the Vikings. I'm not expecting a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I like the low-key blows you're doing today. I don't know what we did to you. I guess it's Vikings Bears week. So
it's Vikings Bears week.
I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. Yeah.
The gloves are off, guys. Like what he's doing is he's really close and then he just nails you.
Yeah, he's giving us his little jazz.
He's like, come here, friend. Boom. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And they're so bad the punch doesn't hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt on Monday. I could guarantee you that. So,
We'll see. Hopefully
well,
not.
once again, I'm NFL outdated. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And this has been the Freezin 4 NFC North podcast, episode 32. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.
Go Vikings.
See you guys. Let's go.